Okay, well, I will call the meeting to order and Chris, do the roll call.
All right, sounds great. Thanks, Greg. Rita Baker,
Present.
Christopher Bowker,
Here.
Christina Brown,
Here.
Greg DiLoretto,
Here.
Anthony Fields.
I'm here.
Okay. Thank you. William Gifford.
Here.
Thank you. Counselor Casarati. I see him.
I'm here.
Sounds good. Larry Lindstrom,
Present.
Mayor McGriff.
Present, but I'm going to turn off my thing because I just got out of another Zoom meeting and I'm trying to eat dinner before my next meeting after
You
this one.
bet. Okay, fuel up. You bet. Mayor Milch
I'm here.
and Colleen Rockwell.
Here.
All right, we're good to go.
Okay, thank you, Chris. Welcome everyone to the new year. I'm going to turn it over to Greg, who will give us an update.
All right. Well, first I want to thank we had a couple members leave. We've gone through a recruitment, and that's kind of an ongoing thing. So we hope to have folks seated, fully seated today, but that won't be able to happen until our March meeting. But Michael Morrow and Richard Craven retired from the committee, and so I just wanted to thank and honor them. And I see Michael all over the community, and
Mm.
just want to acknowledge he's decades of community engagement and involvement, both voluntary and elected. So thankful for that. And we also have I can't say a new member, but a potential, and it's not official until the board approves it, but Marshall. And forgive me, but I can you pronounce your last name, Marshall?
Sure, my last name is Paholski.
Thank you. As a new member. So thank you. And so we invited Marshall, even though she's not official quite yet, to attend tonight. So thank you for doing that. And then we have Neil and Tony, who are her terms expired and are returning. Neil Schulman, who's unfortunately not here tonight. All right, can we pull up slides?
Yes.
Yep. So we had a pretty awesome year this year. We brought our new outfall online after many years of planning um, and construction. We were on time, we were on budget, and we managed to bring it on before the second major storm event that happened in late December, which helped out a lot. Um, we were also honored this year to get the Outstanding Member Agency Award for the Oregon Association of Clean Water Agencies, which is, everyone from Portland to Gresham, Clean Water Services, Salem, everyone who's anyone in the state. And that was a big deal. We also won that in 2019, which was, a pretty good record there. So really proud of WES and the people who work here. We also, and I'll talk more about the popular annual financial report, which is kind of the trifecta of financial, reporting that we achieved this year. We also updated our system development charge methodology to, well, do a lot of things, but also encourage affordable housing. And we'll talk more about this, I'm sure Matt will, in his storm response uh, presentation. But our Upper Kellogg Restoration Project, which received ARPA funding, it was a huge success. We had massive storm events, two of them in a row, and we didn't have any localized flooding, which is really cool. And then the other thing, and there's going to be another countywide employee engagement survey that's coming out later this month. But the last year's employee engagement survey, we took very, very seriously. We really engaged, well, engaged with our employees and found out, kind of dissected what our results were, which were actually really, really good relative to other county departments. Um, but we took it very seriously and put together an employee engagement action plan, which we are very proud of and are implementing. Next slide.
Oh, Greg,
Yeah.
are you able to take a couple of questions or comments
Oh,
about these
absolutely.
milestones?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
The you mentioned that it might be mentioned later, so I don't know if you're talking about the Upper Kellogg Restoration Project.
Hmm.
Yeah, I am so impressed with that project, but I wonder, do you think that the general public realizes how much we save their asses? Of course, flood damage and and the general inconvenience of flooding. To me, it's just it's a huge feather in our cap,
Hmm.
huge feather. But
Well,
I think we had to blow our trumpet more on that.
we did get some very direct feedback from at least one property owner saying, wow, this worked. Thank you. This has been decades long problem. So yeah, okay. Uh,
The other comment that I had was the STC methodology.
mhm.
WES was mentioned both favorably and perhaps not so at the city's work session Tuesday night.
Hmm.
Uh, I hope Denise is not listening,
She's
but,
here.
but, but the city is reviewing
Too
its
late.
it's reviewing its at the STC methodology as well. And WES was pretty much held up as a model as to how tiering can work. And it was pretty nice. The only negative comment was the fact that it had the word WES associated with it. Commissioner Smith thought that was a little over the top. So,
Oh, no.
but it was
But
nice
are
to be
you going to
associated
tell
with
them
that
what my
process.
response was?
Tell us again.
My response was, when there's good work out there to be done, there's good work out there to be done, regardless of whose name is on the top of the masthead.
Yeah.
That's right.
Amen. Anyway, I was pleased to be part of that process for Wes, and I think it's another feather in our caps. We have a lot of feathers.
Full cap.
Yeah, full cap.
Well, thank
all
you,
I had.
William, and thank you, Denise. That's really good to hear. I typically watch the city council meetings, but I have not seen that one yet.
Yeah, this was a work
sure.
session. It wasn't a regular meeting.
Okay. All right. Uh,
Cool.
Mayor McGriff.
Yes, I did have a question for you, not about the tiering, but just to add a postscript to what William said. We went through a lot of engagement with our board to talk about how we would do that. And so I think the credit really goes not only to the staff, but to the committee for considering it. And I remember uh, uh, Adam basically was the one that said, why don't we look at this? And so we did. And so it's a feather in our cap as an organization and as a board that we came up with something that maybe the staff wasn't all thrilled about at the beginning, but it's working because other jurisdictions are using it. And I think it's going to help us all in the long run. But I wanted to ask a quick question about so you said employee engagement plan. So is that similar to what we call in Oregon City a stay survey? It's kind of like you're looking at, what we can do to promote the employees and help them do their jobs better, what incentives, all of that. Is that kind of what you're talking about?
Yeah, and it's Ron, maybe you can chime in. It's a 12 question survey, and Ron, who
Yeah, it's a Gallup platform.
Gallup, yeah.
That they use employee engagement survey they use across the country, and the county uses it for all 2,600 employees. But it's a really helpful, simple tool that we got a lot out of.
Yeah, we've been doing it as well, and it's been very, very helpful. So I applaud the organization for moving that ahead because, when you've got when you take care of the employees, everything else gets taken care of. As a former city employee, your local government employee, I know that very well.
Mm-hmm. True.
So thank
Chris, I think it'd be good to maybe send out our action plan to this group just
Sure.
so they can see and Yeah, well, we can talk internally about because I think we should send kind of the results and then how we approach that. But
Yeah.
um,
Because
yeah,
it started with the Gallup survey for the whole county, and then what uh, Ron wanted to do was sort of reframe that a little bit into kind of getting the employees insight, what how did we get to these answers? And so we had focus groups throughout the all of WES and the different locations. And then from that, we formed the Employee Engagement Action Plan, which was just taking all that feedback and input and let's put it into action so that we actually are, um, we hear everybody and we want to implement what works for them. So it's exciting.
yeah.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, next slide. So I mentioned the PAFR. So for many years, Wes, we do a budget, we do a comprehensive annual financial report. Um, and for many years, we've won, through the government finance, GFOA, government finance organiz, not sure what that stands for, but um, uh, and those are awards that we've received for many years. And I think about 3 years ago, correct me if I'm wrong, Ron, we submitted for an award for our budget document. And so there's certain, we kind of upped our ante, upped our game on our budget. And so we started receiving for the last few years a budget award through the Government Finance Association. Um, and so this year we're going for the Triple Crown, which is the popular annual financial report, which we are going to send you, and we did submit it, um, which is a very, it's for the general public, for people that aren't, financial experts, to really, you know, demonstrate our fiscal responsibility in a very easy to digest way. This is our first year to do that. If GFOA does think that we're worthy, then they will also give us an award for that, which would mean, as Aaron Blue says, that would be the triple crown of financial awards. And we would be, out of all of the public entities in the state of Oregon, we would be the 10th to be able to achieve that, which is pretty remarkable. So fingers crossed, and we'll let you know if I'm pretty given for those of you who know Aaron and the work of our finance team, I'm pretty darn confident that we're going to get it.
So, Greg, is that like getting an EGOT?
Yeah, exactly. That's a pretty good analogy. Yes. Okay, next slide. And then just, we bring things to this advisory committee before we take them to the board. These are the three things that we brought, relatively recently. Our customer assistance program, which is kind of a blow up of our former low income discount program, was very well received, and I think is going to be a model across, the state, perhaps the country. Erin and her team did a fantastic job on that. Our long-term financial plan, which we present to them on a regular basis, also very well received. And then our capital improvement plan, we just did this week, and it's going to go for approval at the business meeting next week, and I expect it'll definitely pass. So that's all good stuff. Next slide. So one of the things I just learned this a week or so ago, or maybe 2 weeks ago, the county is looking at all of the advisory committees across the county, and there's dozens, and wanting to kind of make sure that they all contain, or there's some consistency across the board. And so they are going to be reviewing our advisory committee bylaws. The only thing, and looking at what they, what they're focused on and what they think really needs to be in there, we've got everything except one thing, which is a conflict of interest language. So, people on the advisory committee can't have a conflict of interest with respect to business in front of, this advisory committee and ultimately making recommendations to the board, which I 100% agree should be in the advisory committee bylaws. So we'll be working with the county, and then we will bring any changes to this advisory committee in March to get your recommendations and thoughts. So, any questions on that? All right, I'll turn it back over to Greg.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the next item, the first order of business is to appoint a chair and vice chair. That's one of the first things we do every year is we select our chair and our vice chair from our membership, and the chair is responsible for running our meetings and helping set the agenda in collaboration with WES management and the vice chair. And then the vice chair fills in as needed. Currently, I'm your chair, kind of obvious here, conducting the meeting, and then
That's obvious.
and vice chair is Mayor McGriff. So at this time, we want to open the floor for nominations for chair, and you can even nominate yourself or whoever you wish to be chair, or you can keep the people you have, whatever you want to do.
Greg,
So-
are you up for being renominated?
I'll do it again if you folks want me to.
I would nominate. I think you're doing a good job.
I second it.
I think Mayor
This is the,
McGriff,
I
this is
would
the,
third
this is the
it.
power, this is the power team.
McGriff's
You've been
doing a good
great
job.
Yeah.
But I think that we want to make sure she's not taking on too much. She's got a lot of meetings, other things to do too.
This is important.
Yeah.
So you're making the nomination, William, then of
Yes.
myself for chair, and we can just do them both together, and Mayor McGriff for vice chair.
Yes.
Are there any other nominations from the floor?
I hear the train.
Yeah. Okay, well, hearing none, we'll close the nominations, and we need to vote, right, Chris?
Yes. I
All
will.
right, conduct the roll.
And if we're ready for chair and vice chair, I can just take the poll at the same time. So,
Yep, we'll vote.
okay. Rita Baker for chair.
Uh,
Sorry.
well, if we're doing them both,
We'll do
Yeah.
them both, but I'll do them separately. So for chair, yay
Oh.
or nay, and then for vice chair. Does that make sense?
So you want
Yay.
to vote for everybody?
Yeah,
Yeah.
should-
yay.
Yay, yay.
Parliamentary
Okay.
procedure, Chris, would dictate that you just have one vote.
That's what
For
I was
both.
thinking.
Yeah,
you
you
can
One
break
both
it.
for a vote?
Yeah, because we have
Yeah.
a nomination.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay,
Thanks,
okay.
Mayor.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's making it extremely cumbersome.
Okay. This is okay. Christopher Bowker,
Yay.
Christina Brown,
Yay.
Greg DiLoretto,
Yes.
Anthony Fields,
Yes.
William Gifford,
Yes.
Counselor Khosrabati,
Yes.
Larry Lindstrom,
Yes.
Mayor McGriff,
Yes.
Mayor Milch,
Yes.
Colleen Rockwell.
Yes.
All right, reappointments have been made.
Okay. Well, according to my script, I'm supposed to say congratulations to Chair DiLoretto and Vice Chair McGriff.
Yay!
Woohoo!
I've heard some weird things about that guy.
They're all true too, Mayor. Okay, moving right along. Let's go to approval of the November minutes. Were there any changes or corrections, or any corrections to the minutes?
No, thanks for those.
Okay, I'll seek a motion for approval.
So move to accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
Who seconded it?
Rita?
Okay, so Christopher motioned and Rita seconded. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay, we're good. Minutes are approved. Public comment. Chris, do we have any public comment this evening?
See, anybody from the public, if you'd like to make a comment, please raise your hand or unmute. I see no hands raised.
The next item, committee roles and bylaw reminders. I don't have any. That was something that when Diana Helm was our chair, she would go through, but she went through them. So until we get through the new stuff that Greg's working on with the staff on the bylaw revisions, we'll probably don't have anything. Which takes us to the meat of our agenda, which is the wet weather and storm response from Matt. So we'll turn the meeting over to Matt.
Awesome. Well, thanks for having me tonight. Met many of you, but if you don't know me, my name is Matt House. I'm the operations manager for WES. I've been with the organization for 28 years. Worked here even some when I was going through college with a temporary job, and it's been really rewarding growing up in this organization. Um, I'm really proud to get to meet with all of you tonight and share what I feel like is a really big success story for us. And it's really about how we navigated a huge event that most of our seasoned staff hadn't even seen before. I don't remember too many like this back to back to back. It involved like rainfall, high river levels, high wastewater flows, higher peaks, really, that many of us have seen in a really long time. And then we mixed in some wind for good measure in the middle of it. Um, but I'm extremely proud of our team for their preventive maintenance work leading up to this, their dedication, their performance during really trying times. Grateful for the work too from many of our city partners with their inflow and infiltration reduction efforts. I think it made a big difference as we work through this. City Happy Valley, I know they've got a really robust sweeping program, helping with leaf off and keeping all the inlets open so our stormwater system would function, where we've got many people living around that infrastructure. Big part of the team and helping this be a success story. I feel like we learned a lot about our infrastructure from it really being stressed to the limits. And we also validated, I think, some of our capital planning efforts, our project delivery, and that we're totally on the right track with some of the things that are coming in the future and some of the things that we've already completed. So overall, a total team effort, and I look forward to sharing more of the details. Next slide, please. So specifically what we're talking about, really three major events. I'm sure you all had your own challenges in your own lives and your work with some of these, but the first was a big atmospheric river. The second was the following week, really strong west wind event that happened overnight. And then a third event and a second atmospheric river that was even more impressive than the first with really saturated soils. The cod at the bottom is a little bit of foreshadowing. Many of our staff ended up working around the clock. We had folks staying at our treatment facilities and basically working all night, ensuring that we were operating and maintaining all of our facilities and responding to issues that came up. Next slide, please. So this is data from WES's Reengage network. Many of these totals are 24-hour running totals. We base much of our engineering capacity planning on a minimum 5-year storm, which down in this area is approximately 2.5 inches to make it simple. That's developed based on historical rain data, duration, frequency of the events, and that is a big part of informing our capital planning and modeling. WES engineering team analyzed these storms for us, and really the biggest takeaway here is the first event on the 9th, a large impactful rain event. And you can see we saw over 3 inches in part of the Tri-City Basin over at our Willamette pump station in Willamette, and all the way up to almost 4 inches in 24 hours up in the Hoodland service area. Next slide, please. So this is a graphic that we put together just to show the treatment plant responses, and this is over the course of both events. But for the first part of the story, we're really focused on the event on the 9th. These are peak hourly averages, and you might see some peak instantaneous flows that we observed and slides that are coming later. And please note the green dashed line showing 10 millions a gallon a day. That's what we can divert away from. Actually, I got that wrong, I think. Sorry about that. Actually, the green dashed line at the bottom is really our maximum ability to shift flows away from the Kellogg facility over to Tri-City, and that'll be important as we kind of talk through the story here. So I just want to point that out. But with the first event, we did see peak hourly flows of 63.5 million gallons a day at the Tri-City facility and 29 million gallons a day for peak hourly at Kellogg. And that one, as many know, is capped at 25 million gallons a day.
Hey, Matt, maybe it's my
Yes.
old eyes, but it looks like there's two dotted green lines at the bottom.
There is. So I'm looking at the one that if you look at the scale on the left is right about 10.
Yeah.
That's the one we're focusing on.
And this would be future capacity for IT2. That's
The,
current.
the one, yeah, the one at the bottom is current, and then the one higher up is future. Good call, Chris.
Okay. Thank you.
Next slide, please. So with over 2.5 inches of rain at Tri-City, and we saw over 3 inches in the base and out in the basin. This first event, we did not have the new 90-inch outfall online yet. And through construction, there's some changes with baffle elevations. Basically, our existing outfall is a little bit higher to accommodate the final design, and we navigated some backed up flows into the plant. And you can see here at the peak of the event on the left is what our secondary clarifiers would typically look like, and on the right is what they look like at the peak of the storm. And you can't see the weirs; they're completely submerged. Many of you have probably been at tours here before. The left is what we want to see. Right is not what we want to see. Moral of the story is that we did temporarily exceed a couple of our daily permit limits at Tri-City, but our process recovered very quickly as soon as the flow subsided.
Are there penalties assigned to those if we go over the limits?
To be determined, and sometimes we get some grace during these really high flow events.
Okay.
And I would say we typically get grace during these high flow events because the 1 in 5 year storm event is kind of the not just the engineering, but the regulatory threshold for whether folks enforce or not.
That's why it's called an emergency, right?
Exactly.
And I should have said at the top too, like this is totally meant to be a conversation, just sharing like what our experience was, and I think it's a pretty good story. So here's the next slide, please. Sorry, Chris. So what you can see here is our aeration basin, chlorine contact basin, a picture of our influent pump station SCADA, the Kellogg Water Resource Recovery Facility. During this event, we really optimize all of our tankage, and so there's kind of some higher than normal water elevations in that aeration basin. For the SCADA photo up in the right, red is pumps running. And we saw, like I mentioned a minute ago, peak hourly average flows were right about 29 million gallons during this event. And our cap there is 25 million gallons. The intertie diversion pump station that can pull flows away from Kellogg and ship them over to Tri-City was completely maxed out at 10 million gallons during this time period. The great news is our intertie project that's currently under construction. Maybe some of you have navigated that while we're building it. That's going to reduce the peak flow at Kellogg to within capacity during these types of events. And our ability to divert is going to go from 10 million gallons a day up to 35
Whoa.
gallons a day. And that project is going to be completed this year. So what we learned is that we need to get that done when we have these really infrequent peak weather events. And so similar to Tri-City, during this first atmospheric river event, we had a couple daily permit limits that were exceeded. And again, that process recovered very quickly.
The
So, hey,
Gregs have
Matt,
questions.
just wanted to, for those not familiar, SCADA stands for Supervisory Control and Data Acquisition. And that is all of the monitoring and telemetry, like the equipment that tells us what's going on remotely with our facilities. And so it allows us to really monitor it remotely. Like we don't have to be there. It'll send out notices if there's a problem or something's too high or too low. So anyway, SCADA is supervisory control and data acquisition.
Well, that's a great point, and I promised not to use any acronyms, and I already failed. Darn it.
So Matt, you got a flow limit of 25 million gallons a day. You're maxing out your 10 million sending down there. You're over by 4.38. So help me understand, what does that mean? Was flow running down the streets of Milwaukee? Or I mean, where'd you cram that other 4.38 million gallons into?
So we're able to, one, optimize all the storage tankage throughout the plant and backing some of that flow up into the plant. The collection system takes a little bit of it, so we're not overflowing from manholes. And that rated capacity of 25 MGD is with one of our pumps out of service. That's how they're designed in the influent pump station. And that's one of the real silver linings, I think, with all of this is that pretty much across the board through all the events, all of our equipment operated to the maximum extent it possibly could. And so we have the ability to get some more pumping capacity from that influent pump station based on not having any pumps out of service and just basically running things wide open. That's a really great question, Greg.
Thanks.
I have if Greg's finished, I have a comment and a question. The comment is, thanks for these photographs. These make it more real to me about what a massive impact this has had on our systems. And we hear about it, and looking at the numbers is one thing, and I love numbers, but these pictures are close to terrifying. And I don't know how much press we have gotten to tell the public. And I know that Greg is doing a good job of, as much as possible, getting word out about how important the work that we're doing is. But I think some of these pictures would be great to see plastered all over whatever news outlets we could get a hold of. But the question that I had is, the reference has been to 5-year events. With climate changes, as climate does, that 5-year term, is that is there a possibility of that becoming a 4-year event or a 3-year event or a 7-year event? I imagine that that number is taken into consideration by its history, but the history changes. And is it always going to be like a 5-year event? No. How frequently would that change? Or how frequently do we evaluate that terminology?
Whether that's going to be a 5-year event from a regulatory standpoint, I don't know. What I can say, and I said this recently, is and there's not enough data at this point, but these atmospheric rivers that we're seeing and the intensity of the rainfall and the kind of the geographic specificity specificity of the rainfall feels different. Um,
Yeah.
and so when we're designing our stuff, our collection system and our pump stations, we made a decision to go from a 1 in 5 year event design capacity to a 1 in 7 year event.
Ah,
And that, I can't tell you. So, we go from 3.5 inches to, I don't know what a 1 in 7 year event is, 4.1 or something. So we're making, I guess, educated guesses about the future um, of these, more frequent, more intense rain events.
well, I think 10 years ago, none of us have ever heard of the concept of an atmospheric river. I'd never heard of that term in meteorology. Who's heard of an atmospheric river before?
I'm kind of a meteorology nerd.
Yeah. And
It
when
used to
did
be the
that terminology come into play in the common parlance?
Used to be the Pineapple Express.
Ah,
Oh yeah. Okay.
William, I can tell you that when I was a young engineer 50 years ago, the designs we did for stormwater systems were much different. And in fact, they're in place and they won't accommodate what's happening now. I mean, the storms we did were what we
Wow.
called a type 1 storm. The intensities have increased far away different than what we have. What we're getting today used to be what you'd get in California and their design standards.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff we built that's not going to make it because we designed it based on what we knew back in those days.
And Greg made a great point, and that was an awesome question, William. That I referenced the 5 year storm. That's the minimum for the regulators, but we are building in that safety factor up to a 7 year. And I'm also proud of that rain gauge network that we put together because we're getting all kinds of amazing data as we do our master plan updates and refresh our modeling. We'll have really high quality data to be able to inform future modeling as current conditions change over time.
And the more we have of that historicity is going to be our strength of knowing what has happened and look for trends.
Absolutely.
Thank
All
you.
right, next slide, please. So with that first event, we manage over 360 miles of pipes, and we have over 8,000 manholes. And we did experience one sanitary sewer overflow during that event throughout our entire collection system. This is from the seawall that serves Oregon City. And we've got a solution for this one as well. We've got an upcoming Willamette Pump Station force main project that's going to alleviate a hydraulic bottleneck that we see during really high flow events coming across the arch bridge. That connection coming from Westland is going to move further downstream across the I-205 bridge. That project's under design right now. And we obviously don't want to see any overflows in our collection system. But I think in the case of this one, relative impact to water quality with all the very high flows in the river, the fact that this one was inaccessible to the public, while not what we want to see, I think we've got a good plan for it moving forward. And this one will come up again with the second event. Next slide, please. So, moving up to, oh, sorry, Mary McGriff, did you have a question or comment? Oh, maybe not. All right. Moving up to the mountain in that service area up there. Fortunately, through this whole event, we didn't have any pump station sanitary sewer overflows. We manage 23 of those throughout our service area. But with the heavy rains, where I mentioned almost 4 inches in 24 hours, to avoid one at our Timberline Rim pump station that's right next to the Sandy River, we had teams go into 24/7 operations with tanker hauling, where we're pumping directly from the pump station wet well where the wastewater is collected into tanker trucks. And we were trucking them up Highway 26 to the treatment facility up there and unloading them and just basically making loops for 3 days to prevent having an overflow there. And you'll hear a lot more about this station a little later with the second atmospheric river. Next slide, please. So just to keep things interesting, the following week after we got through all that, got our crews home, got them some rest. I don't know if the wind woke any of you up from the west on that. That Tuesday night, I know I don't sleep well when we get a lot of events because I know our team starts getting alarms and they're waking up from bed and coming in to help us out with whatever the issue of the current situation is. So I stole a little bit of info here from Mark Nelson, my favorite meteorologist. I mentioned I was a bit of a weather nerd. He noted that this was one of the top 3 west wind events that he had seen in his 30-year career. There's 170,000 PG customers without power. We lost power to all of our 6 mountain pump stations around the Brightwood Welches area. The treatment plant lost power. So that puts us into 24/7 operations with managing our on-site generators, ensuring that all those facilities are operating well and effectively. We had a couple trees go down over our chlorine contact basin at our treatment facility up there. You can see a tree down over the road just outside of the access road to get into that facility. There's trees down and power lines down all over the place up there, and PGE had their work cut out. They had to have some of their line people doing flagging because of all the busy roads. I think Highway 26 was closed for a bit. It was a real hot mess. Oh, wait. Next slide, please. So we got our second atmospheric river event the next day. Our crews are already working around the clock, maintaining power to those facilities. And this one was even more impactful than the first. The ground is obviously fully saturated. We got even a bit more rain down here in the valley, and Hoodland area saw almost 6 inches in 24 hours.
Wow.
Next slide, please. So panning over to the right, looking at what was, I guess that was Thursday. We saw peak hourly average flows at Tri-City for a bit, pushing 75 million gallons a day. That's the highest that many of you have probably had a tour from Blake, possibly. Highest that he's seen. I was here with him that night. Kellogg saw hourly peak average flow of over 33 million gallons a day. But there was one really significant difference this time for Tri-City. Next slide, please. So Jeff Stollard went to bat for us after the first one. They just stripped off forms of the tie-in box for the outfall project. And earlier in the week, we were able to bring online the new 90-inch outfall for Tri-City, which made all the world of difference for us here. There's still some things to finish with the project, but we're able to get it online. Just a reminder, the red is running for the influent pump station pumps. And I know it's really small, but Most of those are running at 99 to 98%. And again, we're able to move more through the plant because these are designed with one pump out of service. In this case, we had all 5 pretty much running wide open.
Wow.
Blake and I kept running. I guess since Greg described the acronym, I can use it now to our SCADA. And we both saw and got a screenshot of at one point 79.25 million gallons a day coming through the facility here. It was ripping. We'll leave it at that. But with the outfall, we do go from what was about 61.5 MGD capacity to just being able to run our flows out that 90-inch, which can go up to 106. So we didn't have those surcharging issues through the Tri-City facility. And I'm really proud to report we didn't have any permit limit issues at Tri-City with that second event, which is really remarkable and
Yeah.
absolute testament to our team here. So proud of them. But a couple things back to capital projects. We do have a project moving forward right now for our influent pump station that will even help us more with navigating incoming flows and doing upgrades of all the equipment. That is in the works as we speak. It's in design. It should be completed in 2028. And I know you've probably seen it as we talk about the capital improvement plan, but we have a big wet weather treatment expansion coming to Tri-City. Right now, we're getting a design engineer on board, and that is slated to be completed and online in 2031, which will give us the ability to treat up to 105 million gallons a day at this Tri-City facility. So as we move up to 35 million gallons a day away from Kellogg and bring it over to Tri-City, we'll be able to effectively treat that moving forward, which is why we do all this awesome planning work.
Matt, looks like Mayor Milch has his hand up.
Just a question. You reference here the outfall capacity of the 72-inch and then the 90-inch. Obviously, the 90-inch looks like it would have been enough to handle the 79 number up there. But remind me, are we going to continue to use both outfalls going forward, or are we? I think it was kind of using one as needed and switching to the other, or how often will we be using them in tandem?
Yes.
Question. Oh,
Yeah. So we'll use the new outfall, the 90-inch outfall will be our primary outfall. It's got the best diffusers in the river and the best mixing. And our current outfall, 72-inch outfall, will become our kind of outfall number 2 that we would use during these type of, way future peak wet weather events.
Thanks. That clears it up. Thank you very much.
Greg, well, let me follow up on that though. Greg, you mentioned that the 72-inch, the original, the old one, is on standby for backup. But how are we keeping an eye on that? How are we occasionally testing it? Are we monitoring its ability to kick in? Or are we just going to wait and hope for
So, well, that's a good question. And all I can say is like I think we would assume that the pipe itself is intact, but yeah, I don't know that we've talked about that. But we do have to do, like on a 5-year basis, look at the integrity of the outfall in the river, and send divers down, make sure everything's free and working. So
maybe that would be a good time to do a maintenance check. Because
I
things
mean,
fall apart,
yeah, it'd be pretty easy, honestly, during the summer to send a camera down it.
Yeah.
Because it'll be empty. So
Rita, go ahead.
I was very interested in all your rain gauge data. Is that something that is shared with watershed councils?
We could compile that data and share it out if there's an interest. Definitely be collected all in a database?
It's been in my past life as a watershed council coordinator. Even if it's not your direct watershed tributary, you can do some analysis that will help guide what you do. So when I started many years ago with the Great Oregon City Watershed Council, we we had a stick that you run out and look and see how high the water got. Now it's become far more sophisticated with a lot of investment over the years, but we relied on some neighboring streams to interpolate that data, and I think this is going to be important as we look at restoration work in the future to understand the impacts of these events and how we can try to plant our way out of some of it too.
How high is the water, Mama?
Mhm.
Mayor McGriff?
Yeah, I wanted to ask you a question about the exploding manhole cover.
That's coming. Couple of them. I took a drive by those that night.
Apparently, the eyewitness, and it might have been one of our police officers, said all of a sudden that manhole cover on McLaughlin Boulevard, adjacent to the outfall, just went.
Yep.
No, you didn't get any pictures, unfortunately, I guess.
Two slides away. All right. Next slide, please. So if you've been to the Kellogg Creek facility, just thought these were really interesting photos. This was the next morning and what the Willamette River looked like. It's really incredible. And again, like our intertie was maxed out at 10 million gallons a day. And we did exceed a couple daily permit values for Kellogg Creek. Based on that event, we got literally the most we possibly could out of that facility. We had folks there all night. They did a commendable job. But things recovered really quickly. We're back in compliance that Friday. But just thought that was worth mentioning too, since we covered it on the first event. Next slide, please. So we had many other things going on while managing the treatment facilities. During that time, we had tanker hauling still going nonstop at our Timberline Run pump station. We had to pull a couple of our combination Vector trucks up to the mountain as well. We have a pump station on the north side of the Sandy River. We were concerned about flooding some homes with the nearly 6 inches of rain and high flows in the collection system. We had a couple crews hauling loads from that station up to the treatment facilities to protect property. As Mayor McGriff just mentioned, 99E was temporarily closed around the tunnel, that line that serves Oregon City, where we had the SSO on the seawall. It backed up so far. We actually were surcharging a couple manholes further up the road. There was a little bit of heaving of paving around there. We had crews stay the night here so they could go out and repair it first thing at daylight. We coordinated with ODOT and got that opened up as soon as possible. We will have a little bit of restoration work there, but as soon as that Willamette force main is online and we alleviate some of that connection from Westland further down to 205, it should help with that, as well as all the I&I efforts that City of Oregon City is working on. But yeah, that was a sight to see for sure. We had one other sanitary sewer overflow at our Willamette pump station in Westland. We were at, I think, 3.2 inches for that 24-hour event. That was a pretty quick spill. I think it was for maybe 3 or 4 hours. All three of our pumps at that facility were running wide open, everything operating as expected. just couldn't keep up with all the flows that were coming there. But we have a project for the pump station that's in design right now, where we're going to be upgrading the capacity of that. I think we got some public meetings in the next month, so that one's moving forward. And then we had various crews all throughout the system. Had a few stormwater calls right about like close of business that day, but we had some alarms popping off as our system was stressed like across the board with some of our other pump stations, and we're coordinating dispatching people to go check on those. So it's remarkable that these were the only overflows that we experienced, and just the coordinated effort from everybody and quick response and checking on things. So proud of everyone. But there's more. Next slide, please.
Hang on, Mayor Milchiston.
Oh,
Obviously, this kind of event is what we experience in our local public works departments. It really is when people rise to the occasion. And I know the workers even, I think maybe even enjoy something like this more than their regular daily routine. But I wonder, do you have any kind of a mutual aid agreement with local cities if you need another Vector truck, if you need additional crews? I wonder, is that ever been considered, or is it something that you'd be calling on us to help with?
Absolutely. And we also have a really close relationship with our Department of Transportation, which I was in communication with them throughout the event as well. Obviously, they're navigating landslides and trees down and flooding of roads and all of that. But we do have great partners. I know that all the cities, Gladstone included, will be open to helping us out if we needed some extra assistance. And another great thing with this is all of our trucks were up and running, all of our tankers, all of our Vectors, combo cleaners, nothing was in the shop. We prepared for this. We had literally every tool at our disposal ready to go. And we optimized every bit of capacity that we had across the board.
Hey, Matt, is it also safe to say that all of our backup power generators operated?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's a big deal because we got quite a few. And yeah.
All right, next slide, please. So, flooding. The Sandy River peaked early that Friday morning. We were seeing increasing flows with boots on the ground, and we're also tracking some of these projections of what the flood stage was going to be. So we were monitoring things very, very closely. The Sandy ultimately peaked at nearly a major flood. You can see the record is 22.6 feet. The peak was at 21.37. And bring that up mainly for the next slide. Chris, you want to go ahead and just cue that up? This is from our team that was running the tankers from the Timberline Rim pump station. We've got an access road that's very near the river there, and they shot some video before we had to make some tough decisions.
Ooh.
And we walk our dog here every day.
So that's the Sandy River about ready to jump over our access road and flood out our Timberline Rim pump station. We monitored the river elevations and basically made the call to move out a skid steer that we had on the property. We had that portable pump that we were pumping into the tanker trucks, got that out of there, got the tanker trucks out, and we had to de-energize that station to basically save all the electronics and all the gear at about 9 p.m. and walk away from it. And the river did come up above the foundation of the station. You can see on the right, it flooded out the basement. Those pumps are designed to be submerged, which is good. And we went away from that station for the night. We concentrated over on the one on the north, hauling loads over to the plant, and waited for daylight until the next day. Next slide, please. Obviously, we contacted DEQ, reported all that. It's classified as a sanitary sewer overflow. I guess, Chris, go ahead and cue up that video too, please. This is in the morning, right after the floodwaters were receding. Standing there, you can hear giant boulders rolling down the river in front. Really eerie, creepy feeling. Saw some trees falling in from banks downriver. I don't know how familiar you are with the Sandy River, but it's very dynamic. The channel migrates back and forth in this area where we've got a couple of pump stations and a pipe undercrossing. The exhibit in the middle is just to give a little bit of context of where the facilities are in relation to the river. The beige color is basically the 100-year erosion hazard. The pink has risk of like eventually becoming the channel. We saw about another 50 or 60 feet of erosion on the bank there toward our road and our pump station. The good news is at 6 a.m. that next morning, the river level dropped sharply, which you could see back on that hydrograph. And we were actually able to pump out the basement and fire it right back up and resume normal operations, which was pretty amazing. I'm glad we made the call when we did to de-energize everything. It was definitely the right move and really relied on the experience of some of our teams that have worked through some of these events before, and just leaned into their experience. But was so proud and grateful that we were able to get that back up and running the next day. And so we resumed our hauling operations. Next slide, please. So this is the aftermath of some of that channel migration. In the middle is some houses that are along the bluff where I actually witnessed some of the trees coming down. Significant bank erosion all around up there. I think both those properties folks have had to move out. But unfortunately, we have a pipe that is under the river that's actually on the left where Chris is pointing to. That's still in contact with the river bottom, which is awesome. This is HDPE. It's flexible, it's resilient, but a portion of our pipe for about 10, 15 feet is now exposed. And that takes a really deep dive under the river just beyond that. This all used to be bank before the event for 50 to 60 feet, but there's quite a bit of bank that was lost there. So moral of the story is we're working on some short-term risk mitigation work for our pipeline, and also revisiting some long-term alternatives for how we best serve that area. And the pipe on the right is the local water district. They also have an undercrossing about 10 feet upstream of ours, and they're also working through a similar process. We're coordinating, we're keeping people up to date, but appreciative that things are still intact, but we've got some work to do just to provide some more resiliency in the meantime.
Looks like the same pipe, same tree. I'm comparing those two pictures. They look like the same pipe.
Yep, they're both HDPE, and we're like bored under the river, just smaller versions of what we did.
No, that's the same tree.
No, but William, if you look like at where the last green part of the tree is, and there's a black pipe kind of on the there. That's our pipe.
And this is our pipe.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Wow.
What's going on with that brown house? It looks like it's about ready to fall in the river.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Not good.
Very scary.
No,
Yeah.
totally not good.
Mm-mm.
And thanks for bearing with me. These are quite a few slides to get through and a lot of parts of the story. So we're getting close, I
Wow.
promise.
Wow.
Everybody's probably ready to get on with their evening. So Clackamas River, classified as a major flood. That one is the biggest in many years. I stole another Mark Nelson graphic that you'll see in a minute, but yeah, major flood down here on the lower Clackamas. Next slide, please. So many of you have been out to the Carly Creek project.
Yeah.
Worth mentioning that part of it was turned into floodplain during this event. It was the largest flooding event per Mark Nelson since 2001. And best news is that we just had some minor road access damage, but overall the site fared really well. But I thought you might be interested just in seeing what it looked like kind of at the peak of the flood. Some of our staff got these photos. Next
Wow.
slide, please. So with the Upper Kellogg Creek project, I know we talked about that briefly at the beginning. This area was developed prior to the WES surface water rules and regulations. We did not receive any reports of flooding in these historically prone areas. Attached on the slide is just a really nice note that we got from one of the property owners. And I think as Greg and William referenced, the project really does seem to be a huge success. Next slide, please. So just to recap really quick, we have the intertie pump station upgrades and that 30-inch force main in construction right now. That'll be done before the end of the year. That's going to help us maintain our capacity at Kellogg and give us more operational flexibility, able to bring more flows over to Tri-City. We've got the Three Creeks floodplain enhancement project that's in the works. I know some of you were at the ribbon cutting for that. As we mentioned, the Tri-City influent pump station, that's in design right now, slated to be completed in 2008. The Tri-City wet weather expansion, we're hiring an engineer to work on that right now. Classifying that as in design, that'll be online in 2031, and that will upgrade our capacity at Tri-City to 105 million gallons a day. We've got the Willamette pump station and force main projects in the works that will help with the issue that we had on the seawall and 99E. We have an annual pipe renewal and replacement budget and doing some work with Jeff and his team on focusing some I&I reduction efforts on the north side of the Sandy River. And then we just talked about a couple of the short-term mitigation measures for our pipe under the river and the Sandy, and then looking at long-term alternatives there again. And we have secured some property up there and planning for the need to possibly do some things with our infrastructure in the future, depending on more channel migration events. Next slide, please. So, take a breath. I'll just say, like, one, I'm just so proud to lead the teams that operate and maintain all of our facilities and our collection system. Mayor Melch was spot on that there's a lot of folks, I think, on our team that do enjoy the challenge of some of these events and absolutely rise to the occasion. But one of the proudest moments of my career, we got literally the most capacity out of all the facilities, and everything worked as expected. We prepared well, from all of our equipment, our plants, to our fleet, and couldn't have been prouder about how things went. I want to thank our capital team for all the great planning, execution of projects, getting that outfall online so we were resilient and could withstand that second event. Our water quality lab, they worked extra with some of the additional sampling we had to do with a couple of the compliance issues. Our customer service team for fielding service requests and our teams for quickly responding to those. We actually didn't get very many calls about issues for flooding or anything, which was pretty remarkable. Finance, Aaron's team helped with some damage reporting, where we can potentially get some funding in the future. Yeah, it was a lot, especially for people gearing up for the holidays, taking time away from their families. I tucked people in on cots at like 4 o'clock in the morning when we were turning over staff and giving people relief. And I was so happy at the end of that week to let people go home and get some rest and come back strong the following week, which was Christmas Eve and Christmas. So yeah, great job, team, all the way around. And thanks for letting me share the story.
Thank
Bravo.
you. Mayor Mills, you have a question or a comment?
It just, you had to have been really grateful for the timing on some of this. You know, if the outfall project had been 30 days later or something, you might have had a real disaster on your hands. The fact that you know all this capital improvement is thought well in advance and planned accordingly, and that the next things, you know, if you work on that Willamette pump station, that was one of your problem areas, that'll be taken care of maybe the next time we have an event like this. So it speaks to excellent planning. So I did have one question. I think Greg Geist, in your report, you mentioned that the Three Creeks floodplain area, even though you've just kind of begun that project, this event proved the value of some of what you've already started there. Is that correct?
Actually, it's more the Carly Creek project. Yep. Yep.
Okay. Well, you know, the thing is, it worked well, and I think, William, your point's well taken. A lot of people don't know about it because it works so well. And had it not, your phone would have been ringing off the hook, and why aren't you doing something? And yet we take it for granted. And, you know, this is the message I deliver around the country about why we need to invest in our infrastructure. It's a prime example of how the money we spent benefited all of us because you were able to do the job, and it did it.
And the planning, Greg.
That went into all that. Yeah. And, you know, and our committee ought to take a little pat because we go through all these plans with Greg. We go through the funding with Greg and the staff. We recommend funding, and it's happened. And you can see you can see the results of what this does for our community, our quality of life, and our economic prosperity. This is it.
Amen.
Okay, well, that's the meat of our meeting.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah, excellent job. Did anybody have anything they wanted to share with committee this evening? Oh, Mayor McGriff, you have something you wanted to share?
Yeah, well, it's more of a question. Have we had any incidences of yellow flag iris? It's an invasive species, and I'm wondering if we have noticed any, or do we have any problems with it? With regard, this is a request from a citizen of our West area.
I saw Ron nodding his head, so I'll let him do it.
What does that mean?
I was thinking about that. Yeah, Mayor McGriff, we do note and have some occurrences of yellow flag iris, but it does two things. It can get really infested in choke systems, and it can be obstructive, and we haven't had any issues with that particular plant on a widespread basis. No.
Are we trying to get it out? I mean, I know what it is. I've seen it. I just understand it's a very much an invasive species. And once it gets started, it's kind of like our friends, the tree of heaven, deep rhizomes, and they just spread.
Yeah, if they're in stormwater facilities or obstructing flow, we definitely remove them.
Anybody else have anything for the organization this evening?
Yeah, I wanted to make the comment that at the I think it was I don't remember when it was most recently raised, but City of Oregon City is of course still very concerned about the Clackamas Cove and its water quality. And from an economic standpoint, which is where my perspectives usually lie, it's going to be very difficult for us to do any development in that area unless some improvements are made to that water quality. I don't know if WES has any expertise that could help us. Is that anywhere at all in the purview of WES?
They have been talking to Wes about it, but we're doing as you know, we're doing the water quality study, and we don't quite have all the information yet.
Yeah,
But
and we're standing by as a partner
Right.
to the extent that our laboratory can, do some analysis of water quality samples. We're there.
And this is just my personal soapbox, but the concern to me has been there's a lot of time, resources, and energy spent in determining the situation, but I haven't seen as much energy in proposing solutions. And maybe that's another area that WES could partner in.
It's coming.
Good. That's what I want to hear. Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, our meeting's adjourned. The next one will be in March. I think it's March 12th, if I'm not mistaken. So put it on your calendar. We will all talk then. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thank you.
Go team.
Really good presentation. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Matt.